Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Mind, Your Reality, Your Results, a weekly live show where I speak with an expert in the subject of mindset so you can change your mindset and ultimately get the amazing results that you want in your life. I'm so pleased to be welcoming Caleb to the show today. Thank you for being with us.
Glad to be here, Leah. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, if we haven't met before, my name's Leah Fink. I'm the owner and founder of All Thrive, and I help protect people from the pain of damaged relationships. If you want to know more about that, I would love to connect, so please reach out. But you are not just here for me today. You are also here to learn some about funnels and all these great marketing strategies. So please take advantage of Caleb's knowledge. If you have comments, if you have questions, please add those. Even if you're not watching this live, if you want to add those comments and questions, it means that we can get back to you with some answers. So Caleb, as I always like to start off here, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are with Funnel Flow today?
Sure. Well, my name is Caleb Christensen. I'm based out of Carlsbad, California, San Diego County. And basically, I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always just had that internal drive to create something, to make money, to hustle, to grind, whatever. And that was just kind of like in my DNA. And I really accepted that title as an entrepreneur when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad at the age of 17. And once I accepted that, I was just looking for opportunities. And the first opportunity I really took advantage of was I created a hot dog cart company. We started doing catering. And I realized very quickly that in order for business to be successful, you need to have a marketing plan. And I started doing what most people do when they start a business, the friends and family and word of mouth, and just trying to find any opportunity to sell their wares, so to speak. And I did the same thing, but wasn't really having any success finding a good spot where I could sell my hot dogs. And I invested all this money and had a business partner and everything. And so I decided to make something called a little website on Google Sites. This was early 2004 or 2005. And Google had just launched this new thing called Google Ads or AdWords. And I thought, you know what? I'll give it a try. It was 5 cents per click, which it's way more than that now. And I launched a little ad campaign, and literally the next day I got a phone call of someone who I'd never met before, who had never heard of me, but they saw my little website. They thought it'd be cool to have a hot dog cart come to their house for a little birthday party. And I had my first client, and I realized, hey, this marketing thing is pretty powerful. And over the course of the next 2 years, I served tens of thousands of hot dogs to individuals all over the San Francisco Bay Area, paid my way through nursing school. And from that point on, I have been obsessed with creating lead generation systems that fuel businesses.
It's really interesting too, because you started from such a place of what I think most people would consider this very physical business of hot dogs. And most people, like when I think of a hot dog cart, I think of the right street corner that people are passing by and finding it. And I find it really neat that even from the beginning, you went to that online and how that impacts, because especially after the last couple of years, you have to be almost online to really create that and build that interest. Do you, just because you started so long ago as well, have you seen a huge change in how that works online for people?
Tactics change, right? Software, design, but the principles that make marketing work are as old as the Sears and Roebuck catalog of the late 1800s. It's about creating something that your ideal customer wants, getting it in front of them, and then creating a very clear pathway for that customer to take it, right? And whether you're doing that in a print catalog, a direct mail piece, or online using Facebook and landing pages or whatever, like the principles are the same. You need to understand what your ideal client wants, right? My ideal client wanted a kind of a unique food service option for their party or event or get together. Create something that they want, and then okay. So your ideal client's floating around there in space with this desire or pain point or need, and you are over here with your offer. Well, what do? You have to get that in front of them. Okay. I I don't say this in an arrogant way, but it's like, it's not that complicated. Like, I think a lot of people have overcomplicated online business. Like, oh, I don't even know where to start. Well, create something people want and get it in front of them. Okay. So that starts with having a clear offer, having a clear understanding of who your client is. What do they actually want? Okay. And so you need to publish to capture their attention. When I started, I was doing just a simple Google ad, right? Whether you're publishing on social media or your ads or direct mail, or you're waving a sign at the street corner, you need just to get your ideal client's attention and says, I have a solution for you. Okay. Now, once you have their attention, what do? You have to capture their information, because oftentimes they're not ready to buy right away. Okay. They're interested. You have piqued their interest. But they're not ready to pull out the wallet. They need a little bit more information. They're close. All right. So we need to capture their information. And if they bounce off, if they go back, if they're not ready to buy right away, we need to follow up. Right. Because only about 5 to 10% of the people, I don't know. I just totally made that statistic up, like most statistics. Let's just say a small amount of people that hear about you are going to buy the first time. So let's say, for sake of discussion, 97% of the people that first hear about you aren't going to buy right away, or they need a little bit more understanding of your product or service or how you can help them, right? That's 97 opportunities out of 100 of potential clients that you need to re-engage with, right? So you need to nurture them. So that's follow-up. That's a physical phone call. That's an email follow-up. That's sending them a text, right? Or just being, if it's like a personal networking connection, it's about being intentional. Like maybe you see that person at church, or personal connection, right? All right. So having that follow-up plan, and then you need to publish again, because people are busy, right? They're, believe it or not, you are usually not top of mind. They're not always thinking about you. They're thinking about their own problems.
Yeah.
And you need to remind them that you have a solution that they want. Okay. So you need to publish again. You need to capture their attention again. Like, hey, you remember me? Remember me? I can still help you. You still want those hot dogs, right? So they're going to see your ad again. They're going to see your social media posts. They're going to get an email that says, hey, I have a new podcast episode. Remember me? I'm Leah Fink, right? And so the idea is that we're constantly bringing new ideal clients into our little wheel. I call it the minimum viable marketing flywheel, right? We're constantly bringing them in, and we're constantly capturing their information, or capturing their attention, or following up with them, or publishing again, and just reminding them that we have a solution that they want, right? And in its elementary form, you can do this with a hot dog cart and a landing page, or a coaching company. It doesn't matter what you're selling, products or service or e-commerce. If you have those 4 elements in place, your dream client, you're publishing to, you understand your dream client, because otherwise there's a message mismatch, right? If I say, Leah, this is the world's best dog food, you need to buy it. It's going to solve all your dog's dietary issues. And you're like, I have a cat. Okay. All right. You're not going to be listening to me. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have a cat or a dog?
I have 2 cats. You did very well.
Okay. I kind of remembered you had a cat, but my point is, if you're speaking the wrong message to the wrong market, it doesn't matter how great your dog food is. Okay. So your message needs to be tuned into your market. I learned this from Dan Kennedy. He's one of the books up here. The red one right there. Okay. So your message needs to be tuned into your market, so that your market's like, oh yeah, I have a cat. I have that problem. He's hacking up hairballs all the time, and it's the hairball dissolver. Okay. I totally need that. So it's a message to market match. You have something that your market needs. Okay. And now you need to capture their information, right? So that's grabbing their email, grabbing their contact, grabbing their physical mailing address. So unless they buy right away, hey, that's great, home run. But if they don't, how can you re-engage them? How can you follow up with them, right? So long-winded answer. The principle is timeless, okay? Now the tactics, how you do it, okay, well, maybe you publish on TikTok instead of Facebook, because more people are looking at TikTok. It's still the same principle. You still need to publish, okay? Back in the day, it was all about direct mail. Direct mail still works. People were just publishing their offers, sending it directly into that mailbox, and say, hey, you have a pest control issue, or you need a new crown for your teeth, right? So the local dentist or the local pest control is publishing and showing you that, hey, they have a solution that you need. So tactics change, but principles and strategies, and the MVM flywheel, it's kind of timeless.
Well, I love that. I really appreciate you kind of breaking down into those 4 components. And I'm wondering, aside from working with you, which I would recommend everyone connect with you and learn a little bit more, but how do people decide? Like, what's the best way to decide which way to go? You mentioned, do you do TikTok over Facebook because there's more people there? Does it depend on your ideal client? How do you pick that first step?
Yeah. So when you go through kind of the personal discovery of your ideal client, you can break them up into demographics, psychographics, regions. The more fine-tuned and granular you get, the more direct the messaging is. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to butcher it, but Dan Kennedy talks about this concept of, if you have a product for one-armed or one-legged golfers, who are left-handed, okay, where was I going with that? Like, just being super specific, right? If you are super specific with your targeting, you know where they hang out, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know how the golfing came into it, but he had this famous sales letter that spoke to like one-legged golfers. But the principle is, the more specific, the better. All right. And so if you have a pretty good clarity on your ideal clients, birds of a feather flock together, right? So if you can say that, okay, my ideal client is a 35 to 45-year-old mom who has these skin issues, and here are some common issues that they're dealing with related to post-pregnancy body changes, right? So if you have like a health and wellness coaching or products company, right? Well, then you can say, okay, where are these individuals going and looking for solutions, right? Are they on Facebook groups? Are they following these other influencers? So I could, maybe infiltrate that group in a good way, or like offer to sponsor the group, right? Or create a joint venture with that Facebook group administrator. So you could maybe offer free training to them, right? And then have like a joint venture offer. So it really just depends, right? If you're trying to reach, what's the latest generation? I can't even remember anymore.
Yeah.
Gen
Z? Are we past Gen Z?
ZA1 or Z2, like whatever the latest generation, whatever the kids are doing these days, right? Every time I look over a teenager's shoulder, what they're looking at on their phone, and not in a creepy way. It's just, I'm just curious, like what are the kids doing these days? I'm turning 40 in a couple of years, and I'm starting to feel kind of out of touch with the new things, and I'm okay with that. But a lot of them are on Snapchat, right? So if I'm trying to reach maybe an 18 to 22-year-old demographic, I would put a lot of effort into the latest platform, right? If I'm trying to get the attention of, maybe the baby boomer, a lot of them are on Facebook. But another thing is, I think those traditional thoughts of, old people are on Facebook, young people are on Snapchat, or middle-aged people are on TikTok, right? I think more and more that's becoming less of a limiting factor, and it's just that everybody's on everything. My 67-year-old father-in-law is addicted to TikTok, right? And so I think it's a matter of just, okay, what am I suited for? What is something I can commit to get my message out there and stay consistent with it, or willing to invest it. All right. Okay. Am I willing to invest in TikTok ads to figure them out? Because there's a learning curve. All right. And it's just picking one and going with it, because everybody's on everything. Everybody has, 30 communication apps on their phone. Everybody has Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. Like, it doesn't, like, everybody has everything. So just pick one that works for you and you can commit to and do it with excellence, whether you're running ads, organic or both, into your offers and getting people into your world, and just be consistent with it, right? But pick one channel, don't spread yourself too thin, and then just be very focused about it.
Awesome. That really helps, because I do think a lot of people still have, and because we're talking about mindset, a mindset of, oh, I have to go into this because of this age, or I have to be doing this even when it doesn't suit, me as a business owner. I do want to make sure that we have time to really get as well into the idea of the MVM flywheel that you mentioned, because I think that's a really useful thing that would be helpful for people to know. And I don't think we've talked about on the show before. Would you like to explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I kind of went over it verbally. Can I show my little whiteboard here?
Please do. Yeah.
All right. Let's move our camera here. All right. I have my very, very high end, professionally drawn diagram. Okay, so funnel flow, funnelflow.io. So here's the MVM flywheel. And the idea of a flywheel, think of like the steam engine, like the old school steam engine trains, right? So you have the steam engine pushing a piston this way. Piston goes like this, right? And then you have a rod or arm, or I don't know what it's called, like a camshaft or something like that, and it's pushing a wheel. So the piston, it has inconsistent power output. So it's power release, power release, power release. Okay, and what that camshaft does, it's not a camshaft. I'm sorry, I really don't know the name of it. But what it does is, so here's the connection point. Okay. So as power is applied to the flywheel inconsistently, the flywheel spins consistently.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you Wikipedia what a flywheel is you put effort into it inconsistently, but it's consistently spinning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because otherwise a train would lurch and start and lurch and start.
Exactly. The train has
runs very smoothly.
Solid forward movement, and same thing on our cars. It's the same principle, right? The piston goes up and down, it moves the camshaft, and it goes to the drive shaft, and it's turning the wheels on a consistent basis. But the engine's doing this, okay?
Yeah, it's moving back and forth,
and it's doing this little dance, the engine dance, okay? So you're putting effort into your flywheel. Let's say you're posting on your blog once a week, or the Leah Fink show, right? So All Thrive. All right, you're posting once a week, and so you kind of have an influx of eyeballs on your products and services on an inconsistent basis, right?
Yeah.
But what this does is it's fueling your flywheel, and it's generating momentum in your business. So you're speaking to things your dream clients care about that relates to your product or service. Okay. So you're saying, hey, I have a solution for you that I can help you with, or I'm going to entertain you, or I have some good stuff for you. All right. Yeah. So we're publishing on an inconsistent basis, right? Or maybe we have an ad running 24/7. Same principle remains. So we're going to publish to get in front of our dream client. Now, where funnels come in, we want to get them off TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or listening to our podcast, because Apple owns that traffic. Whoever owns TikTok owns that traffic. Google owns that traffic. We need to get them out of there and into our world. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay. Because, no one's going to put their credit card through the Instagram screen and give us money, right? We have to get them into our little worlds if we're going to actually monetize this relationship and grow our products and services. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we need to say, let's say podcast, right? Hey, go to xyzurl.com and download my free mindset hacks worksheet. Okay.
Yep.
Right. So you're giving them something. So you're using the publishing platform with your ad or your organic or whatever to push them into your landing page, which just says, I have something valuable for you that's going to help you. Okay. Or it could be something free. It could be like, hey, buy my book. But the idea is it's something that's low resistance, that's easy for them to consume, and that's kind of like a no-brainer, right? And Because remember, we are speaking directly to our dream client. We're not trying to capture the whole world's information, just the people that we want to serve. Okay. Now, once we capture their information, we have our little landing page with our little, sign up box and our could be email, it could be SMS, our little simple landing page where we're going to grab their information. Now, once we have that information and they get their download, they're probably going to bounce off into space, right? They're going to go off and do their thing, right? Or maybe they'll read their stuff. Maybe they will sit down and pour a cup of coffee and really consume what you have to say. But most people are busy, right? We do things kind of impulsively on the move, right? Yeah. And so that's okay. We're going to nurture them. So we're going to have our email sequence set up, okay? And the purpose of this first touch is to eventually lead them to your offer, which is way over here, okay?
Yep.
Now, maybe that offer is on the other side of a sales consultation. Maybe that offer is a low ticket offer, like, hey, buy my book or join my workshop, or, take advantage of this free coupon and come and get half off your next coffee, right? Yep. Or whatever, it just whatever you're selling, right? We want to just capture their information and then try and nurture them to a sale. But if they're not ready yet, they're going to see your ad, or you're going to send them an email that's going to remind them to use that coupon that you sent them. It's going to remind them to read that booklet that you gave them, right? Now, eventually, as we continue to publish, we're going to have more and more people come into our little flywheel, and they're going to spin off and eventually take us up on our offer. Okay? Yep. And so as the flywheel gets filled up, the same way a train gains momentum and eventually you can't stop it, the same thing will happen to your business. Okay? Yep. And if you stop publishing, you're going to have a little bit of forward momentum, but eventually it'll die. Okay? So that's the principle, the minimum viable marketing flywheel. Now, why do I call it the MVM flywheel? Now, you need all these 4 things in place in order to have any level of success online. You can build upon this. You can make this more complicated. You can have different ways you capture and nurture and follow up and publish. Like, you can add unending levels of complexity to this. But unless you have these 4 elements laid out in a minimum, your business will always struggle, right? This wheel will be lopsided and it's not going to flow freely. Okay, so maybe you spent a lot of time just getting eyeballs on social media and you've made a huge following. Well, great. But you don't have a clear way to capture people's information. Well, then you're going to have a hard time nurturing and following up with them.
Totally.
Because you have little control over when and where they actually see your information. You are at the mercy of the algorithms of when people are going to actually see your stuff. And what if Instagram shuts down or Instagram disagrees with your business model? You're done. Okay? Unless you're building your own lists, you are at the mercy of everyone else. Okay? All right. Well, let's say you have your social media game down and you have a good lead magnet where you're capturing emails, but you don't have a good nurture sequence, right? So you're spending all this time and energy and money of building an email list, but you don't have a good follow-up sequence. So you're potentially leaving 97% of your profits on the table because the people that don't buy right away, they never hear from you again, right? So if you tie all these 3 things together around the spoke of your dream client, then your business can really scale and grow and gain momentum.
Yeah. I mean, it's what I love a lot of things about this. There's so much I would love to comment on, but the idea of consistency, first of all, and I really love the idea also that there are times when you do push, that you create these pushes, that you start a new process, but especially, like you said, that keeping the momentum, keeping all of these pieces engaged so it does continue running smoothly as a train instead of push and then let it slowly grind to a stop and then try to push again with just one of these factors. So that's a really beautiful way to look at it. I'm wondering, because I think a question a lot of people have, as you're, if you look at gaining followers maybe on social media compared to having an email list, people are like, well, if I'm just on social media, I can get 10,000 followers. Now, how many people do you need for an email list, or is that based on how much you can match with your dream client? Is there an ideal number there, or is it really about specific situation?
I've heard this statistic given by a lot of different experts. Every person on your email list, if you have everything in place properly,
Yeah.
every person on your email list should equate to $1 per month recurring income. So if you want to make $10,000 a month, you need about 10,000 people on your email list that you're consistently nurturing and delivering value to. You want to make 100 grand a month, get it to up to 100,000, right? Now, obviously there's a lot of levers to that, but people browse social and they buy through email. If I think back of all the expensive things that I bought in recent times that I probably shouldn't have, or even that were good investments, it was as a result of this very same process. I saw something that was interesting to me. I signed up for a free lead magnet or something, and then they just started emailing me. And one of those emails had an interesting headline that I clicked into, and I started reading a sales page. And then I'm like, you know what? I actually do need this. Right. And then I bought. Okay. And the beautiful thing about email as the service provider, you control that conversation. Now, not everybody reads all their emails, so it is a numbers game, right? But email, as opposed to social and everything else, you have the most control and most autonomy in the message you actually get out to your ideal client. And $1 million brands are still being built on email today. So if you're not focused on building an email list and you want to succeed online, well, good luck.
No, that's a great point, and I've never heard that formula before, so I really love that idea. I'm also wondering, do you have a certain formula or idea for how often you should be doing your follow-up? I've heard people say there's no such thing as too many emails. I know personally that bugs me a little bit. To get 5 emails a day from someone would be too much. What's your thought on that?
So what I've been building for clients lately is something called an offer sequence. So if people opt into a list where they are looking for a solution or something, strike while the iron's hot. So an offer sequence is 2 emails the first day, 2 emails the second day, 3 emails the third day, and then it's 1 a day for the next 4 days. All right. So it's 7 days of emails. And the idea is really just to get them to consider taking the next step. Right. And it's usually the same call to action stated different ways. From there, you want to go into a more nurture sequence where it can be once, twice a week, indefinitely. Right. So I would say at minimum, if someone is raising their hand and saying, I need help, do everything you can to help that client. If we think of it as we are serving whatever our product service is, where we're a coach, consultant, service provider, or a hot dog cart, building an email list, like they're coming to us. Permission-based marketing is beautiful because they're raising their hand and saying, I'm interested, I need help.
Yeah.
So if your family member or friend raised their hand or called you, say, hey, I need help with something, and then like you don't hear from them, you'd be kind of concerned, and you would continue to follow up till you heard back from your friend, right? Totally. It's the same principle. I say, I need help with this thing, whether it's my business or my relationship or whatever it is you're selling. Give me more information. We owe it to them to really say, hey, I have something that can help you. Now, after we kind of make our best effort to present our solution, if they still don't engage with us, then we kind of like go into crock pot mode. And eventually some of them will come back. But that's how I look at it.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Is when they first come out for the problem, that's when you reach out, and then really concentrating to solve that. That really makes a lot of sense.
So that's why it's nurture and then publish again. So the next time we're publishing, we're going to send them an email, our newsletter or something like that. And we're not necessarily capturing their information because we already have their information. We're trying to capture their attention. So read this, watch this, consider this. Do you need help with? Yeah. Right. And we're just trying to re-engage and bring them around the flywheel again.
Yeah. Well, I understand that you have a resource to offer people today that can help them get a bit more of a sense or a little bit more of understanding. Do you want to share what that is?
Yeah. So entrepreneurship is a very lonely path. And I realized that very quickly. And I love my wife, but she got sick of hearing about my business ideas. So I started meeting with other individuals on a weekly basis just to talk business and funnels. Over time, it got more structure and momentum. And now it's really fun. And every Wednesday morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific, something called the Funnel Flow Mastermind meets. It's completely free. There's no obligation. There's no sales pitch. So if you go to funnelflowmastermind.com, put your information into my sales funnel, then you'll be added to the Zoom call. And whatever Wednesday morning, you can show up live, or you'll also get emails where we'll link out to past shows and things like that. But basically, it's a place where we discuss in the tactical sense, how do we apply these strategies? How do service providers, coaches, consultants, and service providers build a simple marketing system using funnels so they can have their own leads and have different levels of success by applying this very simple strategy. So funnelflowmastermind.com is totally free. It's a lot of fun. I know it's a little early, but hey, early bird gets the worm.
Well, I love it. We have that link in the description as well. So if people don't have it memorized, that's totally fine. And just, wow, you've given me so much to think about today. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all that beautiful information.
My pleasure. Thank you, Leah.
Excellent. And thank you all for listening and joining us today. Have a great week. I'll see you next week. And remember, every thought counts.